All right, good morning, traders. It's December 10th, 2025. Wow, the year has gone by fast. Hey, my name is John Carignan. I'm the lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, everybody out there in podcast land, digital land, cyber land. Thank you so much for following my content, subscribing to my content. Um, monitoring my content. Thank you for sharing my content. Special shout out, John Jordan, Bob Jordan, Kathy Sarah Roasted. Thank you so much for sharing the content. All right, let's take a look at the market today. See what we can do to get started. Just want to make an announcement. Christmas Eve, that's the 24th through the 26th. The rooms will probably be open, but there won't be anybody moderating inside them. Same thing with New Year's Eve till the 2nd of the new year. The rooms will probably be open, but there won't be anybody moderating inside them. Just letting you guys know up ahead of time. All right, so my SPY pivot this morning, 685.75. Is that right? I think that's right. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. IWM, SLV made new all-time highs. That's interesting. Diamond Dow made a lower high and a lower low, closing inside a bullish trap over the 17. FNGU and QQQ made lower highs and lower lows, closing over bullish traps over their 17 EMAs. SPY made an inside day. It's a lower high and a higher low, closing inside a bullish trap over the 17 EMA. SPY closed with a 2-hour downtrend and a 10-minute downtrend. Gold in a daily uptrend made a higher low and a higher high, closing over a bullish trap over the 17. USO in a daily downtrend made a lower high and a lower low, closing under a bearish cross under the 17 EMA. UNG in a daily uptrend made a lower high and a lower low, closing under a bearish cross and under the 17 EMA. US dollar index still in a downtrend and closed near the 99.05 area. SPY max pain for today. Those are for the options that expired today, 683, with a put to call ratio of a little around one put to each call that expires today at 4:15. Remember, those index options expire at 4:15, while the security options expire at 4 p.m. All right, if this is your first time seeing this, these are all in daily uptrends over the 17 EMA under here, right underneath the bulls. If this is your first time seeing this, these are all in daily downtrends under the 17 EMA. If they got a star over here, they're building out a launch pad from which to launch higher. If they got a star over here, they're building out a platform from which to dip lower, okay? Just want to clarify that. If you see the star, what does that mean? All right, let's take a look at the markets. Let's move this out of the way. I'm going to go back to SPY and kind of visit. Yeah, 683.75 is the pivot. Just want to make sure I got the pivot up there, right? All right, in the markets right now, but I do expect them to be disturbed. We'll take a look at it on the 10-minute chart in the pre-market. You got a big red candle with no follow-through. All right, so chances are price is going to go back and try to make a higher high now. All right, so you have a 10-minute downtrend that looks like it's about to come to an end. All right, so I would look for price to come back to the pivot. Well, first the VWAP, then to yesterday's close, and then up here to the pivot. Now, we got some economic numbers coming out at 8:30. So if it doesn't get there by 8:30, it may be disturbed or helped by the employment cost index. All right, because we need to monitor that, because that it's a delayed report, but it still may cause some turmoil in that 2-minute, 3-minute uptrend coming back up to VWAP. All right, so we got something right there that may help it or hinder it. So we'll see what happens, what we get. All right, so All right, so into the close yesterday. You can see we got a 10-minute chart up here. You got the candlesticks and the 3 EMA. That's that thin yellow line right here. Okay, so we've got the candlesticks and the 3 riding underneath the 8 EMA. The 8 EMA is the white line, so we have a 10-minute downtrend coming into the close. Okay, see how the 3 EMA and the white EMA are pointed down. So, and you can see price continually dips lower and lower and lower. So 10-minute downtrend coming into the close. 2-hour chart. And let's pick up a clean one. 2-hour chart into the close. We have a 2-hour downtrend. Again, the candlesticks and the 3 are pointed down. The 8 EMA, which is the white line, also pointed down. So you can see price action dipping lower and lower. See the candlesticks, got a red candle, then another red candle prints lower, then another red candle prints lower. So 2-hour downtrend coming into the close. Okay, probably going to be look for continuation of that downtrend, but we'll see. We just had on the 10-minute chart in the pre-market an igniting candle with no follow through. That's like a clue that price is not ready to go lower, and look for it to probably return back up and snap back up to VWAP up here. So we'll see what happens. And then it may keep going right on up to yesterday's close, and then up to the open, the pre-market open up here. Okay, so right up there. And then look for the ultimate, a target would be, see where VWAP left off yesterday? Right there. So we got targets of right here. Okay, that's where VWAP left off yesterday. We got a target of where we opened up in the pre-market this morning, right there. And then we've got another target on the upside in the pre-market of where we closed yesterday. That's where we closed, right there. Okay, and the other target up here is, of course, the pre-market VWAP currently right here at 682.84. Okay, so those are our upside targets. As you see, got no follow through on the big red candle. Price is most likely going to come back up to VWAP, and we'll see what it does when it gets there. So I'm going to take these off. All right, don't need them on there anymore. Got the 10-minute chart. Okay, so now got some economic data coming out. Everything's kind of like washed out this morning. First, here's the post-market consolidation. Here's some of the pre-market price action. This is the post-market price action. That was a nice clean line right there. Up over that, underneath that. Then we started out up over it. That would be a bullish bias, closing, producing a consolidation up over prior consolidation. But then they put in this big red candle, and now we've got some price action underneath this post-market consolidation. So it's going to be a wild morning. So for that, I plan to mark off the first 15 minutes of trading and wait for a clear trend to emerge, breaking out of either the top of the first 15-minute range, or breaking out of the bottom of the first 15-minute range. So that's my plan for trading SPY this morning, because things are kind of erratic right here. Okay, you see we're up over it, now we're up under it, but yet we've put in an igniting candle with no follow through. So chances are price is going to come back up to VWAP and probably waffle around here for a while before coming up and trying to produce a higher high. So we'll see what happens. Don't forget, FOMC is at 2 p.m. today. You may want to be in cash, or ideally is to be hedged or in cash, one or the other. All right, just in case things fall apart in the market. Okay, so there's the 2-hour. I went over the 2-hour. I went over the 10-minute, both in downtrends coming into the close. Let's pick up the daily chart. Okay, so here's our April low. Yesterday's candle, not this one right here, inside day, higher low, lower high, closing inside a bullish trap. See the 3 up over the 8 inside a bullish trap. Okay, over the rising 17 EMA, over the all-time high anchored VWAP. Okay, so this is up here at the top of quadrant 4. Okay, so notice this is the all-time high right here. We are incredibly close to taking out that all-time high. All right, but yesterday we had an inside day, so we'll see what happens today if they're going to reverse it and send it back up towards the business end of the sword that occurred a few days ago. All right, so there's SPY on the daily chart. It's bullish. Why? Because we're up at the top of quadrant 4. Nothing's broken yet. All right, and it's still in an uptrend. Nothing's broken. Here's a high. We made a higher high. That puts us in an uptrend. Okay, you notice we're in the upper third of the quadrant line, so that's bullish up there. So SPY bullish and in an uptrend. For the game plan, let's visit the game plan this morning. My SPY pivot, 683.75. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I am a bear. I have a green erases red entry over 685.40. That would be right over the top of those wicks. I have a red erases green entry underneath this triple bottom right here. See this tail, 2 tails, and another tail right here. So underneath 681.50. Get underneath 681.50. First target's going to be, of course, the big fat whole round number 680. And then below that, we have some anchored VWAPs that reside right around 677, 678 area. All right, so we'll see what happens this morning, okay? Probably going to be a whole lot of waffling around until FOMC makes their announcement. And then I would expect all hell to break loose, all right? And then we're going to look for a 10-minute trend to emerge after the FOMC announcement. And it's probably best to give the FOMC announcement the first 15 minutes of trading as well before we run off and decide that this is the direction that they're going in so that we can find a trend that breaks out of the first 15 minutes of FOMC. Don't forget, at 2:30, they're going to explain what they did and why they did it. So they have a little presser that comes in after it. So that could very well be another new 15 minutes of price action as the market extrapolates whatever they want from the words that they've chosen to use in their little presser conference that happens at 2:30. Okay, so there's SPY, gave you the morning game plan, gave you the game plan for the day. Again, everything's going to be probably disrupted by FOMC announcement. We may print new all-time highs today. I don't know. All right, we'll see. We may dig out a low. Okay, but let's go back to the daily chart. Okay, let's just observe what we see to be true. Okay, so pick up a clean chart. Sword candle. Okay, business end of the sword is pointed up, which usually means a reversal could be imminent. We did get the follow through on the business end pointed up sword as price comes down. We had some little bit of follow through here, but we didn't make a lower low. So maybe this is over with. We'll see if we get more follow through from the low of yesterday's candle right here. Okay, so we do have a triple top going on. We got top right up here. We got a top right here, and then we've got a third top right here. Okay, so we have a triple top, but the market is not like falling apart either. Okay, so we do have a triple top. I like it that it's not falling apart. I'd much rather be a bull than a bear, but I just want to make sure you guys know that there is a triple top existing, and since the sword candle We have not taken out the business end of the sword. So I'm just saying be careful. All right. Right now, it's bullish. All right. And I'm going to remain bullish until it's not. All right. If we break below, see this peak between the two valleys. You can't see the two valleys, but I'm gonna take my marker out here and show them to you so that you can see the peak between the two valleys. Okay, so get the line out and take the blue and got this. Okay, so we have a valley. Here's a high. Price comes down and then up. So there's one valley. Okay, here's the next valley. Back down. Back up. Okay, so we got two valleys right here. Okay, actually this one looks more like this. Okay, you got two valleys going on right through here. All right, and that's the peak between the two valleys. So if we get, all right, underneath this peak that's between the two valleys, there's a good chance we're coming all the way back down here to test the breakup candle low, which is right here, okay, which happens to be below the bottom of this big red candle that didn't get any follow through. All right, so if they get below that, I think everything's going to fall apart. All right, if they start printing candles below this big red candle with no follow through, if they print candles below that, I think everything's going to fall apart unless there's a rescue operation and the bulls come in and rally price all the way back up. All right, so again, below here, I think there's a good chance we come visit this. If we get below this, then I think things fall apart. Right now, we're bullish, okay? As long as we remain up over this peak right here, 674, 675, I think we have a chance of producing a nice bull flag and probably lead right into producing a new all-time high. So we'll see what happens. So there's the SPY early this morning. A lot of commentary on the SPY. All right, let's take a look at QQQ. QQQ has a game plan as well. We'll hit the daily candle right now. Yesterday's candle, lower high, lower low, closing over a bullish trap, over the 17 EMA, okay, on QQQ. You can see top of quadrant 4. Okay, they made a higher high, so they're in an uptrend. Just like SPY, they're in an uptrend, and they're over all-time high anchored VWAP. There's QQQ, okay? So they're bullish because they're up here in the upper third. Here's the April low. They're bullish and still in an uptrend. Okay, on the weekly chart, both QQQ and SPY, both bullish and in uptrends. They both look very similar to this up here at the top of quadrant 4. Nothing's broken on the weekly. Same thing on the monthly. Bullish and in an uptrend. You can see the candlesticks riding on top of the 3 EMA. All right, the candlesticks and the 3 riding up over the 8 EMA, and you can see the daylight, all right, between the 3 EMA and the 8 EMA. So that's bullish and in an uptrend for QQQ. Okay, let's look at the 2-hour chart. 2-hour chart coming into the close. QQQ a little bit different than SPY, showing a 2-hour uptrend coming into the close. On the 10-minute chart, coming into the close, the 10-minute chart has a 10-minute downtrend coming into the close. Oh, look at this. See, we're up over VWAP. See, I kind of suspected that. Okay, so 10-minute downtrend coming into the close. Okay, next target up is, if you're in this, or SPY, is yesterday's close right there for SPY or QQ. That's the next target up. After that comes pre-market open. all right, which is this blue dotted line right up there. Okay, if they get past that. If they put in exhaustion candle, be careful, all right, because no follow through on that exhaustion candle could send them tumbling all the way back down to VWAP. We'll see what happens. So there's QQQ on the 10-minute chart. All right, 10-minute downtrend coming into the close. Back to the 2-hour. Remember I said 2-hour uptrend coming into the close. Let's pick up the game plan. Okay, let's roll this out. Pick up the 15-minute. Okay, on the game plan for QQQ. All right, green erases red entry. Okay, right over the top of the pre-market highs, 625.80. Okay, closing candles up there is an entry for a long position to the upside. Pivot 624.20. Above it I'm a bull, below it I'm a bear. Red erases green. Okay, underneath the bodies, not the tails, but the bodies of these valley right here. Okay, underneath the bodies of the valley right there, that's a red erases green entry. That's at 622, and I would look for that to drill down to 620. All right, I trade. All right, 2 days till expiration and 9 days till expiration. Friday options. Okay, on the multiple of 5, specifically for the open interest. All right, for the open interest, I like a lot of liquidity. For me, that's very favorable. It means I can get in and get out. That's the reason I choose the index options to trade. It's because there's plenty of liquidity all around. All right, that's why I like it a lot. Okay, so I trade strikes $2 to $15 out of the money. All right, and I choose that because my favorite price to, or the price that I'm most comfortable with trading contracts, all right, is right around 30 cents per share. So if a contract would be 30 cents, you got 100 shares per contract. So I like the 30 cent per share contract, all the way up to the $1.20, $1.40 per share contract. I can pretty much defend those. I can pretty much trade those with comfort. They're not so much that it chews up all of my buying power. Now for my buying power, I have right here, you can see my trading account value is 51,864. So my max risk is 10%. So I only have 5,186 to spend as far as buying power, because I only want to risk 10%. All right, so I'm risking 10%. So if I start choosing $2 options, you can see that can take up quite a bit of my max risk rather quickly. All right, so I like my daily goal is 1%. Every day my daily goal is 1% of whatever my trading account is. Every day my max risk is 10% of whatever my trading account is. Okay, so for that reason, that's why I choose $2 to $15 out of the money, because they're cheaper, and I don't get the best price I don't get the best price action on my option candles. Okay, because you're going to get much better performance out of an in the money option. Okay, but you also will pay more for it, and with paying more, you will have more at risk, because there's a longer distance between, let's just say, 0 and whatever price you paid. Whereas I'm only 30 cents away, you might be 250 away, okay? And all it takes is like one of those evil red candles right there, all right? And that can send your account, if you got a couple contracts, into, $300, $400, $500, $600 lower. All right. And that's the reason I choose those out of the money contracts, because the distance between 0 and the price per share is much less. Okay. So I trade 10-minute uptrends over VWAP. All right. That's my trade. I trade 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. That's my trade. Okay. Now, if I have a 10-minute downtrend that manifests up here, long before it gets to the red erases green entry. Okay, I can trade it. All right, I just like to see it break the 10-minute bearish rubber band candle. Okay, if I get a 10-minute uptrend that happens to manifest here, all right, below the red line, or here below the pivot, I am available to trade that 10-minute uptrend if I choose to do so. Okay, but I put some restrictions. I'd like to see it break the 10-minute bullish rubber band candle. Okay, either that or have a reason to take it, like a huge exhaustion candle. Okay, when there's a huge exhaustion candle, I start nibbling on a move back to VWAP when I see something like that. And you can see here's a huge exhaustion candle right there with, okay, no follow through. Okay, so I started nibbling on the higher low to come back to VWAP, and then back to yesterday's close, and now back to the market open in the pre-market, and then hopefully back to these highs right here. Okay, so those are the times I don't wait for the bullish 10-minute rubber band candle. Okay, and the reason being is failure to follow through right there, or an exhaustion candle right like that. Okay, so you can see what happened. Remember on the daily chart, okay, what happened here. See these two big red candles. Okay, no follow through. Okay, the bulls smelled the weakness and they ran off and made new all-time high. Maybe we got deja vu here. We'll see. We got a couple of bookends. Again, we've got big red candle down, no follow through, and what happens? Price rallies back up toward the highs, back up there. Okay, see how close they are to taking out the all-time high. Okay, they're really close right there. All right, last time they made a new all-time high. Right now they're bull flagging, so there's still that possibility still lingering that they could make another new all-time high after this bookend right here. So we'll see what happens. So there's QQQ. I gave you the breakdown on the daily. Again, on when it comes to the game plans, okay, that applies to both SPY and QQQ, okay, both of those. All right, let's drill down. Let's take a look at some of the other indexes in the market. We'll hit the daily chart, hit the scratch here. Let's go with IWM. Okay, IWM prints. You can see daylight up there, a new all-time high for IWM. All right, drop the mic. Doesn't get any better than that. Okay, on the daily chart, new all-time high for IWM. Let's just take a peek at silver. Silver yesterday, not today. Today they're going to make another new all-time high as well. But right here you can see silver making a new all-time high. All right, drop the mic. Doesn't get any better than that. That's a beautiful candle right there. Okay, back to IWM. Okay, new all-time high. This is top of quadrant 4, up over the prior all-time high anchored VWAP. So it's bullish. Here's the April low. It's bullish and in an uptrend right there. That's IWM. Diamond Dow. Okay, remember QQQ and SPYs, both still bullish and in an uptrend. Now, Diamond Dow is the only one that's not in technically an uptrend. All right? It's not in an uptrend. But this downtrend that it's still in, okay, it's dysfunctional. It's not working because price is clearly moving up and not down. All right? Or you can call it a downtrend with a fierce pullback, okay, back up toward the highs. Okay, so what do we got here on Diamond Dow? You can see we're in the upper third, so that's bullish. We're up here at the top of quadrant 4. Yesterday's candle, okay, obviously not a new all-time high. Lower high, lower low, closing under a bullish trap, but over the 17 EMA and over the all-time high anchored VWAP. Look at price move up and hold the higher ground. You know I love that when price holds the higher ground. That is a show of strength, okay? And that's why I like that a lot, okay? So there's Diamond Dow holding that bull flag together up there. So that's bullish, and in a dysfunctional downtrend or a downtrend with a fierce pullback right now, okay? So you can call it a downtrend, but it's really not working, okay? Ever since taking out this low, okay, price has kind of been moving back to the upside for the most part, not all of it. Obviously, you can see, a few candles here, a few candles there, but for the most part, it's back up here and holding the higher ground. So that's bullish. All right, let's take a look at FNGU. Okay. FNGU's candle yesterday, let me move this out of the way, is a lower high and a lower low, but they closed over the bullish trap, over the flat 17, and over the all-time high anchored VWAP. Also, in a bull flag right here, looking for a breakout to the upside. I like it a lot. It's held 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 daily candles. That's huge, holding this higher ground from the perspective of down here. Okay, so we got price action up here from that perspective. It's not a bull flag, but from down here it is. So I like this to probably pop higher. Failed breakout could send them packing all the way back down to visit these lows. Okay, we'll see what happens. FNGU on the daily chart is bullish. Here's a high. They made a higher high. See, there's a high. They made a higher high. That's bullish and in an uptrend on FNGU. Okay, remember we did silver. Silver's bullish and in an uptrend, made a new all-time high. So let's see gold. Gold yesterday, really tight consolidation, bull flag. Got a higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish trap over the 17, that's the green dots, and over the all-time high anchored VWAP. Okay, so there's gold, that's bullish and still in an uptrend. Okay, let's take a look at UNG. UNG got a harsh pullback. See the sword, business end pointed up. See what happens when you get the sword like that. Price goes up and back. All right. See how in the price the bulls carried it up all the way to the tip of the sword, but then the bears came through and for the most part erased most everything that the bulls did for the day by dragging price all the way back to the hilt of the sword, giving them more than 51%, okay, of control of this candle, showing you that the bears own this candle more than the bulls did. All right, and then what happened is you got some follow through with this red candle and right here. Okay, so it's all about the business end of the sword. Which way it's pointed, all right, is what you want to look for when you're looking at candlesticks. This is all about reading candlesticks. You're only going to be as good as your ability to read not just one candle, but groups of candles to tell you what's going on and kind of what to expect, all right? That's how good you're going to be. That's going to determine how well you're going to do as a trader. It's part of it, all right? It's not all of it, but it's part of it, okay? And it's a big part, okay? Because if you don't know the direction, you're going to have a miserable time trading, all right? So make sure you have a good foundation on understanding candlesticks and what to expect, and know when something is not working, okay? This one, obviously the sword is working, all right? Okay, yesterday's candle for UNG, lower high, lower low. Obviously we closed underneath a bearish cross. See the 3 crosses over the 80 MA right here. So underneath the bearish cross, underneath the 17. Now, if they take out this low right here, see this low down here? All right, they will negate the uptrend that they're in. Now, they got in an uptrend by making higher lows. See, that's the all-time low. Higher lows. Okay, there's a high and higher highs. Higher low right here. Higher high. Okay, so if they take out that low, they negate the uptrend and convert the downtrend once again. All right, so UNG, like I said, lower high, lower low, closing under the bearish cross, under the 17, okay, under the 2025 high anchored VWAP. Notice very little price action over the 2025 high anchored VWAP. Very, very little. Not till we made the new all-time low did we finally get some price action over the 2025 high anchored VWAP. Okay, this is down. This is, remember, this is the quadrant lines. This is 1. That's 2, 3, 4. Remember, 4 is bullish, 1 is bearish, 2 and 3 are, for the most part, neutral. In the upper third is bullish, in the lower third is bearish. So we're bearish, okay, but in an uptrend, all right? So we're bearish, but in an uptrend. And we close below the 2025 high anchored VWAP. Okay, so still bearish down here. Okay, so there's UNG. Let's take a look at USO. Price action on USO. Let me just put the crosshairs, make sure I get the right one. Lower high, that's this red candle. Lower high, lower low, closing under another bearish cross. See the 3 crosses over the 8. Under the bearish cross, under the 17 EMA. See all the dots? Well, they turn green when price is above it, and they turn red when price is below it. So under the 17 EMA. So we actually have a downtrend right there under the 17 EMA. Okay? So they made a lower low yesterday, so that puts them in a downtrend. So they're in a downtrend, but notice they're not in the lower third. And you can see that downtrend line, this green line right here. Okay, so they're not in the lower third. So they're just neutral, but in a downtrend once again. Okay, no surprise there. Maybe the spring of 2026, I think USO could get ready. I am seeing a higher low here. Let's see if we can get something to emerge right through this, okay? We'll see what happens. All right, that's USO. All right, let's take a look at our technicals. We visited gold and silver, nat gas and oil. That's our energy. I can't wait for the day we start monitoring lithium or even nuclear material like uranium. All right. I think that'll be the future. We'll see when we give up some of the fossil fuel ETFs or indexes, or not index, but and start monitoring uranium. That will be really interesting to see the transition from oil and gas over to uranium and some of the other stuff, and lithium for batteries. All right, so that's USO. Let's go take a look at technicals. T2101. Okay, market moved lower yesterday, and the participation, aka the breadth, moved lower as well. I like that. I like to see when the market moves higher, the breadth and the participation increase. Okay, so that's not bad for me. I don't really mind that. Okay, we're not in the reversal zone, so I'm fine. And SPY still holding the bull flag. T2122, surprise here. Instead of heading lower to the sell zone and the oversold zone, they ripped back in the other direction. Remember, IWM, the Russell 2000, put in a new all-time high. So really nice recovery right there. Price came back all the way to the buy zone, spent the day chomping around or trading around between the buy zone and the top of the buyer's chop zone. Nice welcoming higher low right here. Okay, so that's 22. T21 23, a little bit different. They moved up a little bit, but didn't really get any higher highs on the rally off of, see this, the bounce. They didn't really make a high on the bounce. So that's a little disturbing. I would have thought we got more from it. We didn't. Price action here, we got a low. We didn't make a lower low. We got a high, well, a high here. And we made a higher high. So we're in an uptrend. We're over the 200 SMA. You know I like that because I'm a bull. All right, and you can see price has moved up and over to the right. Okay, so we're kind of close to being in neutral territory. If we look at it from the perspective, okay, of this is the all-time high, this is the pullback low. So we're no longer in the lower third. Okay, so we're in neutral territory. I like that because if we were in the lower third, we'd still be in bearish territory on the 15-minute chart. So it's bullish but neutral right here. And I like the idea that it's holding that bull flag. All right, that's like planking for an hour. You know how hard it is to plank, okay? So those of you that, you know, do a little exercise, that's hard to plank or hold a chin up that long, okay? That's a show of strength. Holding the higher ground like that, okay? That's what you want to see if you want to be a bull. Okay, on the 3-bar chart, okay, price action still has not printed a higher high, okay, yet. We're almost there. No cigar yet. We came close. Okay, I'm going to take the quad lines off because those were for the 15. We're under the flat 200 SMA. All right, we're bouncing off of this head and shoulders neckline. So we're still in a downtrend on the 3-bar chart, but we are in the upper third, so that's bullish. But we're on the wrong side of the 200, so that's bearish. So things are looking up. Still clearly a whole lot more work for the bulls to do. Need to see price on top of that 200. That would look much, much better. Not to mention the higher high, negating the downtrend. I want to see a break of the downtrend. Okay, you can see right there. Starting to break it now. Okay, they very well could recall it back down to double bottom. We'll see what happens. Okay, starting to break that downtrend. This is looking good. Notice how much time it takes. Okay, it's like taking forever. All right, so here's your pullback low from the all-time high. Okay, 21st to the 1st, and now we're on the 10th. It's taken 2 weeks just to break that downtrend line, okay? Things take time, okay? Just be patient. I think we're going to get there. I think we will. FNGU. All right. FNGU. Not looking at any of this. FNGU right here. Holding the higher ground, okay, up over VWAP, as opposed to being under VWAP the day before. All right, I like that. For the most part, a lot of consolidation right through here. Okay, again, over prior consolidation. Okay, that's a bullish outlook, a bullish environment. I like that. I like that as well. Okay, that gives me hope for the bulls. We're up over the 200 SMA. That's where I want to be if I'm a bull, is above the 200 SMA. Okay, so you can see, let me take this off. Not sure what those were for at one time. I think I was doing some more drawing. Okay, this was major support. And you can see we spiked quite a few holes into major support. Like I said, pretty soon it becomes Swiss cheese, and the next thing you know, you can take a platoon of boys right through it. Okay, right there. Okay, and you notice the bulls came in and rescued the price action back up over the major support. All right, They still got a lot more work to do. I don't know. We'll see if they can take it all the way back up and make some new highs. But that's where we're at right now. A little bit of consolidation over prior consolidation. I have hope. We're on top of the 200. We're on top of the pink line. Okay, that's the all-time high, anchored VWAP. I have hope we're over the major support. Okay, but we still got more work to do, just like T2123. And for that reason, I pointed out on the SPY the triple top that existed on the daily chart. All right, just so you're prepared, because things could fall apart. All right, not saying they will, they could. All right, and I want you to be prepared for it. Okay, so there's FNGU. All right, let's take a look at the economic package. Then I got to wrap this up and get this out there to the podcast land, digital land people. All right, on the daily chart for the US dollar. Okay, so the consumer in us, all right, let's just face it, a weak dollar sucks because it makes our goods and services that we purchase more expensive. Okay? For the investor in us, it's quite the different story. The cheap dollar or the weak dollar is welcomed because it makes the goods and services that we sell to other countries, okay, less expensive. In other words, it doesn't take as much of their currency to pay us for our goods and services as it used to when our dollar was rich and expensive. All right? So we like a downtrend in the dollar. We have a bear flag showing. We have not made the breakdown in 5 months, 5 months here. Okay? We did have a brief uptrend within the bear flag. Okay? See, here's the move down and over to the right. Okay? Currently, they failed to make a significant higher high, came back and made a lower low, so they're in a downtrend now, okay? Since making that downtrend, they haven't been moving down, though. That's disturbing. We'll see. They may want to produce a triple top, or they may not want to go down and wind up ripping up here, making another high. We'll see what happens. So there's the dollar. Okay, currently in a downtrend and in a major bear flag. Earnings reports. Big one tomorrow. Today we got Oracle tonight, 626 billion. Adobe, 141 billion. Now they'll definitely help out this tech sector, which it needs some help, okay? And that could, tech usually leads almost all of our rallies, all right? So if they produce good numbers, we could see some inspiration from the tech sector and everyone else to follow. We'll see what happens. They report tonight 626 billion, 141 billion. Both of those tech. This is more software. This is more software as well. That happens tonight. Tomorrow, okay? Broadcom, I can't see. I'm just going to call it 1.9 trillion with a T, trillion dollars, reports tomorrow night. That is very capable of moving the markets or influencing the indexes, all right? Costco is going to report right alongside of them, $393 billion. And Sienna's 30. Again, more familiar names, nothing that's going to move the markets. Same thing for Friday. Familiar names, nothing that's going to move the markets. Okay, Max Payne for today, 683. I think it's been 683 all week. Put to call ratio, about one put to each call. And then for economic calendar, we got MBA mortgage applications came out at 7. Employment cost index came out at 8:30. All right, petroleum report at 10:30. Wholesale inventories, 10 o'clock. FOMC announcement, main event right there, 2 o'clock today. All right, 2:30, we're going to get a little presser, and they're going to talk about the decision that they made to either cut rates, or hold strong. All right? We'll see what they say. That's at 2:30, as well as looking forward into the future. All right? So we'll look for that. And tomorrow we got international trade of goods and services. That's a delayed report, 8:30. Jobless claims, 8:30. Quarterly services survey, 10 o'clock. We got quarterly services survey. Okay, so we got two quarterly services survey. Get this, okay? One is going to be the delayed report from last month, okay? And they're going to release it at the same time as the normal scheduled quarterly services survey gets released for this month. Okay, so really no one's going to pay any attention to that. We're all going to be looking at this. Okay, wholesale inventories, again, if we didn't get enough yesterday at 10 o'clock, they're going to do it again, only they're going to give you the delayed report that was due last month, but they're going to give it to you after they give you the current report today at 10 o'clock. So you're going to get the delayed report that was due when we had the shutdown. That's going to happen after. I don't know why they couldn't give it to you before. Duh. And now they're going to give it to you after on Thursday. Gas report at 10:30, and then that's it. And then Friday's a light day. Okay. Again, there'll be a lot of turmoil. Okay, a lot of price action moving really wild and whippy at 2 p.m. today. I'm expecting that. Okay, so sometimes it's just best just to sit on your hands for 15 minutes and wait for that 10-minute trend to emerge. All right, that's it for me. All right, I will see you guys in, 20, 30 minutes, and we'll open up the markets. Thank you so much.